It was a normal Tuesday at the Seoul National University Observatory. The huge radio telescopes pointed at the night sky, listening for any sounds from space. Dr. Jae-sung sat at his desk, looking at data on his computer screen. He was about to take a sip of his cold coffee when something strange caught his eye. "That's odd," he muttered, leaning closer to the screen. The signal he saw was like nothing he had ever seen before. It wasn't random noise from a star or a faraway galaxy. This signal had a pattern. It repeated over and over again. Dr. Jae-sung's heart began to race. Could this be it? The thing scientists had been searching for since they first looked up at the stars. He picked up his phone with shaking hands and called his boss. "Director Kim, you need to see this right away," he said, trying to keep his voice calm. Within an hour, the observatory was buzzing with activity. Scientists from all over the country were rushing in, their eyes wide with excitement. They all gathered around Dr. Jae-sung's computer, watching the strange signal pulse on the screen. "It's definitely not natural," said one scientist. "But what does it mean?" asked another. Dr. Jae-sung took a deep breath. I think it's a message. From aliens." The room fell silent. Everyone looked at each other, not sure whether to believe it or not. But deep down, they all knew it was true. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. For the next few days, Dr. Jae-sung and his team worked nonstop to decode the message. They barely slept or ate, too excited by their discovery. Finally, after what felt like forever, they cracked it. "It's an invitation," Dr. Jae-sung announced to the room full of tired but eager scientists. "The aliens call themselves the Galactic Confederation. They want Earth to join their alliance." The news spread like wildfire. Soon, the whole world knew about the alien message. People reacted in different ways. Some were excited, dreaming of all the amazing things they could learn from aliens. Others were scared, worried that the aliens might want to hurt humans. World leaders quickly called a big meeting at the United Nations in New York. They had to decide what to do. Should they accept the aliens' invitation, or was it too risky? The meeting room was tense. Leaders from all over the world sat around a large table, their faces serious. "We can't trust them," said the President of the United States. "What if it's a trick?" "But think of what we could learn," argued the Prime Minister of India. "This could be the greatest opportunity in human history." The debate went on for hours. Some countries wanted to say yes right away. Others wanted to ignore the message completely. It seemed like they would never agree. As the arguments got louder, a quiet voice spoke up. It was To-won, the young ambassador from South Korea. "We have a chance to make history," he said, his voice growing stronger. "Yes, there are risks. But humanity has always taken risks to move forward. We didn't stay in caves because we were afraid of what was outside. We explored, we learned, we grew. This is our chance to do that on a cosmic scale." The room fell silent as people thought about To-won's words. Slowly, heads began to nod in agreement. "But how do we respond?" asked the Chinese president. "We don't have the technology to send a message back to them." Dr. Jae-sung, who had been invited to the meeting as an expert, stood up. "Actually, we might," he said. "My team has been working on a way to use our most powerful radio telescope to send a signal back. It's not perfect, but we think it will work." The world leaders looked at each other. This was it, the moment that would change human history forever. "All in favor of accepting the invitation?" asked the UN Secretary General. Hands went up around the room. It wasn't everyone, but it was enough. The decision was made. As Dr. Jae-sung prepared to send humanity's response, he couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and fear. What would happen next? What kind of aliens would they meet? And how would this change life on Earth? Little did he know, the adventure was just beginning, and it would be far more dangerous and exciting than anyone could have imagined. The world held its breath. It had been 3 months since Earth sent its response to the alien message. Every day, people looked up at the sky, wondering when the aliens would come. One quiet evening, it finally happened. A bright light appeared in the sky over Seoul. At first, people thought it was a star, but it grew bigger and brighter. Soon, everyone could see it was a huge spaceship. The alien ship was like nothing anyone had ever seen. It was smooth and shiny, shaped like a giant teardrop. It moved silently, gliding through the air like a fish in water. As the ship got closer, the city went crazy. People ran out of their homes to look. Cars stopped in the streets. Everyone pointed and shouted. The ship landed in a big park in the middle of Seoul. It was so big that it crushed trees and left a deep mark in the ground. As it touched down, a strange humming sound filled the air. Police and soldiers quickly surrounded the park. They told everyone to stay back. But millions of people watched on TV and the internet, excited and scared at the same time. World leaders rushed to Seoul. They wanted to be there when the aliens came out. Ambassador Taiwan was chosen to greet the aliens. He stood near the ship, trying to look calm. But inside, his heart was beating fast. For hours, nothing happened. The ship just sat there, quiet and still. People started to wonder if anyone was inside. Then, with a soft hiss, a door opened in the side of the ship. A ramp slid out and touched the ground. Everyone held their breath. Out of the ship came 3 tall figures. They walked down the ramp slowly, looking around with big, dark eyes. They had gray skin that sparkled in the sunlight. Their heads were big and their bodies were thin. They wore shiny suits that seemed to change color as they moved. The alien in the middle stepped forward. It raised a hand in what looked like a greeting. Then, to everyone's surprise, it spoke in perfect Korean. "People of Earth," it said, its voice deep and strange. "I am Thor, ambassador of the Galactic Confederation. We come in peace." Ambassador Taiwan stepped forward. His voice shook a little as he spoke. "Welcome to Earth," he said. "We are honored by your visit." Exor nodded. "We have much to discuss," it said. "Please, take us to your leaders." For the next few days, Exor and the other aliens met with world leaders. They talked about many things. The aliens said they wanted to share their knowledge and technology with humans. They'd promised to help solve problems like hunger and disease. Many people were excited. They thought this was the start of a new, better world. But some people were still worried. They thought it was all too good to be true. They were right to worry. 1 week after they arrived, Thor asked for a meeting with all the world leaders. The meeting was held in a big room at the United Nations in New York. TV cameras broadcast it to the whole world. Exor stood in front of the room. Its big eyes looked at each person. Then it spoke. "People of Earth," it said, "we have not been honest with you." A gasp went through the room. People looked at each other in confusion. "We did not come here to help you," Exor continued. "We came to conquer you." The room erupted in shouts and screams. Security guards rushed to protect the world leaders. But Thor raised a hand, and everyone froze in place. "Resistance is useless," Exor said. "Our technology is far beyond yours. You have no chance against us." Thor's eyes glowed with a strange light. "You have 24 hours to surrender," it said. "If you do not, we will destroy your cities one by one. The choice is yours." With that, Thor disappeared in a flash of light. The frozen people could move again. Panic spread through the room and across the world. The aliens had fooled everyone. Now, humanity faced a terrible choice: give up their freedom or face destruction. As the clock started ticking, people everywhere asked the same question. What could they do to stop the alien invasion? The world was in chaos. People ran through the streets, scared and angry. They had trusted the aliens, and now they felt betrayed. The news was full of frightening stories. Some people tried to leave the cities, thinking they might be safer in the countryside. World leaders met in a secret place underground. They had to decide what to do. Should they give up and let the aliens take over, or should they fight back? "We can't just surrender," said the president of Brazil. "We must protect our people." "But how can we fight?" asked the prime minister of Japan. "Their technology is so much better than ours." As they argued, a young woman stood up. It was Captain Soo-jin of the South Korean military. She had been quiet until now, but her eyes were bright with an idea. "I think I know a way we can fight back," she said. Everyone turned to look at her. Soo-jin took a deep breath and began to explain. "For the past 5 years, I've been working on a secret project. We've been developing new weapons using technology we don't fully understand. It's risky, but it might be our only chance." The room was silent for a moment. Then the questions started. "What kind of weapons?" asked one leader. "How do you know they'll work?" asked another. Soo-jin answered as best she could. The weapons used energy in new ways. They could disrupt alien technology, but they had never been tested in real battle. As the leaders talked, Dr. Jae-sung, the scientist who first discovered the alien signal, spoke up. "I've been studying the alien ship," he said. "I think I can make a computer virus that might slow them down. But I'll need help from the best computer experts in the world." The room buzzed with excitement. For the first time since Thor's threat, there was hope. But there was still a big problem. The world's armies were separate. They didn't work well together. How could they fight as one? That's when Ta-won, the young ambassador, had an idea. "We need to tell the truth to everyone," he said. "No more secrets. If we want to win, we need every person on Earth to help." Some leaders didn't like this idea. They were used to keeping secrets, but others nodded in agreement. "Taiwan is right," said the president of Kenya. "This is everybody's fight." After hours of talk, they made a plan. They would not surrender. Instead, they would fight back with everything they had. Captain Soo-jin would lead a team to prepare the new weapons. Dr. Jae-sung would work with computer experts to make the virus. And Tae-won would talk to the people of Earth, asking for their help. As the meeting ended, the leaders looked at each other. They were still scared, but now they had hope. Tae-won went on TV to talk to the world. His face was serious but calm. "People of Earth," he said, "we face the greatest threat in our history. The aliens want to take our world, but we will not let them. We will fight." He explained the plan. He asked people to be brave and to help each other. "This will not be easy," he said, "but humans have faced hard times before. We have always found a way to win. Together, we can beat the aliens and save our world." All over Earth, people watched Ha-won's speech. In homes, in offices, in streets and parks. They listened. Many were scared, but many felt a new feeling growing inside them. It was pride. Pride in being human. As Taiwan finished speaking, something amazing happened. People began to come out of their homes. They talked to their neighbors. They offered to help. In every city, in every country, humans began to work together. They had only 20 hours left before the aliens' deadline. But in those hours, the people of Earth would show just how strong they could be when they worked as one. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The 24 hours were up. As the sun rose, people all over the world looked to the sky with fear. They knew the aliens might attack at any moment. In New York, SOAR appeared on a giant screen in Times Square. Its big eyes looked cold and mean. "Humans," it said, "you have chosen to fight. Now you will see how weak you really are." As soon as SOAR finished speaking, the attack began. Giant ships appeared over major cities all around the world. They were huge and dark, blocking out the sun. Smaller ships flew out from them, shooting strange beams of light. The beams hit buildings, cars, and roads. Whatever they touched simply disappeared. People ran screaming as parts of their cities vanished. But humanity was not helpless. All over the world, soldiers were ready. They had new weapons, thanks to Captain Soo-jin's secret project. The weapons looked like big guns, but they shot beams of blue light. When the blue beams hit the alien ships, something amazing happened. The ship's engines stopped working. Some crashed to the ground. Others flew away, smoking and sparking. In Seoul, Captain Soo-jin led a team of soldiers. They moved through the streets, shooting down alien ships. Soo-jin's face was covered in dirt, but her eyes were bright with determination. "Keep going," she shouted to her team. "We can do this." Meanwhile, in a secret lab under the city, Dr. Jae-sung and his team worked frantically. They were trying to finish the computer virus that could stop the alien ships. "Almost there," Dr. Jae-sung muttered, his fingers flying over the keyboard. Just a few more lines of code. Suddenly, the building shook. An alien ship had found them. The roof began to crack. "Hurry," shouted one of the other scientists. "We're running out of time." Dr. Jae-sung worked faster than he ever had before. Just as the roof began to cave in, he pressed the final key. "It's done," he yelled. "Sending it now." The virus spread through the air, carried by radio waves. It reached the alien ships and began to do its work. All over the world, alien computers started to fail. Their weapons stopped firing. Their engines shut down. For a moment, it seemed like humanity had won. But then, Soar's voice boomed out again. "You think you're clever," it said, "but we have more tricks." New ships appeared in the sky. These were different. They were bigger and seemed to glow with a strange light. The human weapons had no effect on them. "Oh no," whispered Soo-jin as she watched the new ships. "What do we do now?" That's when she got a call on her radio. It was Ta-won. "Soo-jin," he said, his voice excited. "I have an idea. But it's dangerous. We need someone to get inside the alien mothership." Soo-jin looked up at the huge ship floating above the city. It seemed impossible to reach. "How?" she asked. "Dr. Jae-sung thinks he can teleport a small team up there," Ta-won explained. "But we don't know if it will work. It might be a one-way trip." Soo-jin thought for a moment. She knew it was risky, but she also knew it might be their only chance. "I'll do it," she said. "Get me a team. We'll go up there and find a way to stop them." As Soo-jin prepared for the dangerous mission, battles raged all over the Earth. Humans fought bravely, but the new alien ships were tough. Cities burned. Millions of people were in danger. The fate of the world now rested on Soo-jin and her team. Could they find a way inside the alien mothership? And if they did, what would they find there? The biggest battle in human history was about to enter its most dangerous phase, and no one knew how it would end. Captain Soo-jin and her small team stood in a circle. They were in a secret room deep under Seoul. Dr. Jae-sung was there too, working on a strange machine. "Are you sure this will work?" Soo-jin asked, looking nervous. Dr. Jae-sung shook his head. "I'm not sure of anything anymore. But it's our best chance." The team put on special suits. The suits would protect them in space and help them breathe on the alien ship. Soo-jin checked her weapon one last time. "Remember," she told her team, "our job is to find the ship's weak spot. We have to be quick and quiet." Dr. Jae-sung pressed some buttons on his machine. It started to hum and glow. "Good luck," he said. "The whole world is counting on you." There was a bright flash of light. When it faded, Soo-jin and her team were gone. They appeared inside the alien mothership. It was dark and strange. The walls seemed to move. Weird lights blinked everywhere. "Stay close," Soo-jin whispered, "and be careful what you touch." They moved through the ship, hiding whenever they heard alien noises. It was like being in a maze. Every room looked the same. After what felt like hours, they found something important. It was a big room full of glowing crystals. The crystals seemed to power the whole ship. "This is it," Soo-jin said. "If we can break these crystals, we might stop the ship." But as they entered the room, alarms started to sound. Aliens rushed in from all sides. Soo-jin and her team were trapped. Just when it seemed hopeless, Soo-jin had an idea. She remembered something from the aliens' first visit to Earth. "Everyone, close your eyes," she shouted. Su-Jin aimed her gun at the biggest crystal and fired. There was a blinding flash. The aliens screamed and fell down, covering their eyes. Their skin was much more sensitive to light than human skin. "Now's our chance," Su-Jin yelled. Her team started shooting the crystals. Each one exploded in a shower of sparks. As the last crystal broke, the whole ship shuddered. Lights flickered and went out. They could hear confused alien voices all around. "We did it," one of Su-Jin's team members shouted. "But how do we get out of here?" Before Su-Jin could answer, they all disappeared in another flash of light. Dr. Jae-sung had brought them back just in time. They appeared back in the room under Seoul. Everyone cheered. "You did it," Dr. Jae-sung said, hugging Su-Jin. "The mothership is falling." All over the world, people watched in amazement as the huge alien ship dropped from the sky. It crashed into the ocean, causing a massive wave. But the battle wasn't over yet. There were still many alien ships in the air. They seemed confused without their mothership, but they were still dangerous. That's when Ta-Won's voice came over the radio. "Listen, everyone. The aliens use a special kind of communication. If we can block it, they won't be able to fight together." Dr. Jae-sung's eyes lit up. "I think I know how to do that. But I'll need help from people all over the world." He quickly explained his plan. They needed to use every radio, TV, and cell phone tower on Earth to send out a special signal. This signal would mess up the aliens' communication. People everywhere joined in. They climbed towers, fixed old radios, and turned on every device they could find. It was like the whole Earth was working together as one big team. As the signal went out, the alien ships started to act strange. They bumped into each other. Some flew in circles. Others just stopped in the air. "It's working," Ta-Won shouted over the radio. "Keep it up." The human armies saw their chance. They attacked the confused alien ships with everything they had. All over the world, aliens were retreating. For the first time since the invasion began, people started to smile. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were winning. But in the depths of the ocean, something was happening. The crashed mothership was sending out a strange signal. What did it mean? And was the battle really over? The cheers of victory were cut short. A loud, deep sound filled the air. It was coming from the ocean where the alien mothership had crashed. Dr. Jae-sung's face went pale as he looked at his computer screen. "Oh no," he whispered. "What is it?" Su-Jin asked, her heart racing. "The mothership," Dr. Jae-sung said. "It's not destroyed. It's changing." On screens all over the world, people watched in horror. The crashed ship was rising from the ocean. But it wasn't the same. It was bigger, meaner looking. Parts of it glowed with a scary red light. Zor's face appeared on screens everywhere. He looked angry. "Humans," he growled, "you have fought well. But now you will see our true power. Your planet will be destroyed." The giant ship rose higher in the sky. A ball of red energy started to form at its front. Taewon's voice crackled over the radio. "We need a plan. Fast. Any ideas?" Su-Jin looked at Dr. Jae-sung. "Can we use the teleporter again? Maybe send a bomb inside?" Dr. Jae-sung shook his head. "It won't work. They've put up new shields." As they talked, the ball of energy grew bigger. It was now as large as a city. Suddenly, a new voice joined the radio chat. It was scratchy and strange. "Humans, can you hear us?" the voice said. Everyone froze. It wasn't Hector. It was a different alien voice. "Who is this?" Ta-Won asked. "We are the Zoltor," the voice said. "We are enemies of Hector and his people. We have been watching your fight. We want to help." For a moment, no one knew what to say. Could they trust these new aliens? Su-Jin spoke up. "How do we know this isn't a trick?" "You don't," the Zaltor voice said. But you have no choice. Sor is powering up a planet-killer weapon. You have minutes before he fires. Taiwan made a quick decision. What do you need us to do? We can give you the plans to Sor's ship, the Zaltor said. There's a weak spot, but you'll need to get very close to hit it. Dr. Jae-sung's computer beeped. I've got the plans. He shouted. They're real. There's a small spot at the back of the ship. If we hit it with enough force, the whole thing will explode. But how do we get close enough? Soo-jin asked. That's when they heard a new voice on the radio. It was the pilot of a small plane. I'll do it, the pilot said. I can fly close enough. Just tell me where to aim. Soo-jin felt a lump in her throat. She knew what this meant. The pilot wouldn't survive. Are you sure? She asked. For Earth? For all of us? Yes, I'm sure, the pilot said. Quickly, they made a plan. All the remaining human ships would attack Sor's giant ship. This would distract the aliens while the brave pilot flew in for the final hit. As the red energy ball grew even bigger, the battle began. Human ships flew at the alien vessel from all sides. They fired everything they had. The pilot's small plane ducked and weaved through the chaos. Alien ships chased it, firing deadly beams. But the pilot was too quick. Almost there, the pilot's voice crackled over the radio. On the ground, millions of people watched. They held their breath. This was it. Everything depended on this moment. The pilot's plane streaked towards the back of Sor's ship. At the last second, alien guns turned towards it. Now, Dr. Jae-sung yelled. The pilot fired. A bright light flashed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, cracks began to appear in Sor's ship. The cracks grew bigger. Light poured out. With a sound louder than anything anyone had ever heard, the giant ship exploded. The force knocked out windows all over the world. When the light faded, Sor's ship was gone. All the other alien ships fell from the sky, powerless. For a few seconds, there was silence. Then cheers erupted all over the planet. People hugged each other in the streets. Tears of joy flowed everywhere. They had done it. Earth was saved. But as the celebrations began, Soo-jin looked up at the sky. She thought about the brave pilot and the mysterious Zaltor aliens. She had a feeling this wasn't the end of Earth's space adventures. It was just the beginning. A month had passed since the Great Battle. The world was slowly getting back to normal. But things would never be the same again. In New York, the United Nations building was packed. Leaders from every country on Earth were there. They had come to talk about the future. Tae-won stood at the front of the room. He looked tired but happy. Friends, he said, we have been through so much. We faced the greatest threat in human history. And we won. The room erupted in cheers. When it quieted down, Tae-won continued. But our victory came at a great cost. We lost many brave people. We must never forget their sacrifice. Everyone bowed their heads for a moment of silence. Then Tae-won smiled. Yet out of this darkness, we have found new light. For the first time in history, all the nations of Earth work together as one. We must not lose this unity. In the front row, Captain Soo-jin nodded. She thought about how people from all over the world had helped in the fight. It made her proud to be human. Dr. Jae-sung stood up next. He had exciting news to share. Using what we learned from the alien technology, he said, we've made incredible progress. We now have clean energy for everyone. We can cure diseases we thought were hopeless. And, he paused for effect, we're building our first real spaceship. The room buzzed with excitement. People could hardly believe how much had changed. But there was still one big question. Soo-jin stood up to ask it. What about the Zaltor? She said. The aliens who helped us at the end. Have we heard from them again? Tae-won nodded. Yes, we have. They want to meet with us properly. They've invited Earth to join a group of peaceful planets. It's like a big space club. This news caused a lot of talk. Some people were excited. Others were worried. Could they trust aliens again? An old man stood up slowly. It was the president of a small country in Africa. "I understand the fear," he said. "We were tricked before. But we can't let that stop us from moving forward. The universe is big. We should face it with open minds and brave hearts." His words seemed to calm everyone down. They talked more and finally agreed. Earth would accept the invitation, but carefully. As the meeting ended, Tadawun, Sujin, and Dr. Jason walked outside. The sky was clear and blue. It was hard to believe that just a month ago, it had been full of alien ships. "What do you think will happen now?" Sujin asked. Dr. Jason smiled. "Who knows? But I can't wait to find out. Think of all we could learn." Taewon looked up at the sky. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together. The whole world united." Just then, they saw something strange. A group of kids was playing in the park nearby. But they weren't playing normal games. They were pretending to be in spaceships, fighting off alien invaders. Sujin laughed. "Looks like we have a whole new generation of space heroes coming up." As they watched the kids play, a bright light streaked across the sky. It was the new human spaceship, taking off for its first test flight. People all over stopped to watch it go. Parents lifted their children to see. Everyone felt a mix of excitement and pride. Earth had changed. Humans were no longer alone in the universe. They had faced a terrible enemy and won. Now they were ready to explore the stars. In a far-off part of space, news was spreading fast. The story of how humans had defeated Xor's powerful army was being told on many planets. Alien leaders shook their heads in amazement. They had thought Earth was a small, weak planet. Now they knew better. Humans were brave, clever, and very tough when they worked together. One alien leader summed it up best. "Note to the galaxy," he said, "never mess with humans. They're a lot stronger than they look." And so a new chapter began. For Earth and for the whole universe.